calma do Benfica. É para ver o que tivemos o ano todo. E quem manda nessa porra aqui somos nós.
Vamos, caralho! Benfica, rumo ao Marquês. Eu amo o Benfica. 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 Hoje vamos mostrar a nossa garra. De 3 em 3 ninguém nos para. Vamos mais alto voar. Todos com querer e ambição. Temos tudo na nossa mão. Eu quero ser campeão. Estádio cheio e hoje nós vamos ganhar. Não há outra forma senão apoiar. Esta força só aqui se vê. É o SLB. Eu amo o Benfica. 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 Eu amo o Benfica.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 147, 3 Points in a Circus. We got a lot to cover today. Kenny's traveling for work. Bill's traveling for pleasure. Oscar is ghosting us at the moment. So you're stuck with me and Jay for now. Jason, how are we?
Good, how you doing, Mike?
Good. We ended the pre-international break with the W, which was important. So that's a positive for us. To kick things off today, I'm sure Oscar will join us at some point. And those of you that know Oscar, he's typically always late, so nothing changes here. We are using a new platform. So from a visual perspective, there may be some things that we may mess around with as we're going through it. So apologies ahead of time. But of course, the most important is what we say. Well, it's not always that important because we don't always say the right things, but you get the point. Vesperlizio says 3 points in a circus. Yeah, we got 3 points, and the Tugão is a massive circus at the moment. So hence the title of the podcast. As always, if you are tuning in, let us know your thoughts, your feedback, add your comments, regardless of what platform you're watching on. We'll do our best to keep up with them and to share our thoughts on them. Ask us your question, give us your opinions. Let's see what else. Since we were last here, was a month ago, so a lot has changed, a lot has happened. I had the pleasure of meeting our great president, Stay the Lose. Took a nice picture with him, got his autograph, even though I already had one. So I got another jersey to frame. I was excited. I got 2 new jerseys. I got the white one. I got the black one. I'm going back in October, so I'll buy the red one when I go back to watch the Sociedad game. What else? We got social media. Last time we were here, I think we were at about 35 and change on Facebook. We are now at 37.5. So we're climbing quickly. Jay, do you see that notification on your screen or no? Do I just see it? You didn't see it? All right. So I see the notifications. The people that are watching live will see it, but Luciano liked our stream, so thank you. In addition to that, in the description of the video, there are some links if you like our content and you want to donate, whether it's $1, whether it's $5, to help us kind of pay for the costs of maintaining the platform, the podcast. Again, you don't have to. At the minimum, we just ask you to like, subscribe, follow. That helps us significantly. But again, if you're wanting to help us and contribute and like our content, that's always welcome. You can also buy merchandise. We get a lot of people that ask us about merchandise, t-shirts and stuff. So we have a merch store. The link's in the bio, the description, so you can go there and purchase merchandise. There's hoodies, there's mugs, there's t-shirts, there's a variety of different things, so check it out. And then I did want to start, for those of you who did or didn't see, but so we had an unfortunate passing of one of our followers, Tony Da Silva, last weekend, or last week, I think it was Monday or Sunday or something like that. But Tony was a constant on our streams. We can see who's watching, who's tuning in. He was more often than not tuning into our podcast. He was more often than not contributing to the conversation, sharing comments, giving us his opinion. And for us, and Oscar has joined us. And for us, we grew up together, all of us. And Tony grew up in the same town as us. We frequented the same Portuguese club. Oscar, mute your laptop. We frequented the same places. So we knew him personally, which made it even more difficult. So, we wanted to again just mention him before we got started today. He was a big follower of ours. His son Mike sent us a message and shared with us how much he appreciated what we did, and how he's always tuning in. So, our condolences again go out to Mike and his family, and Tony's friends, and hopefully he's in a better place now, and he's resting easy, and the family can rest knowing that he's no longer in pain and he's in a better place now. But again, I just wanted to kick things off and make sure that we mentioned him, because again, he was someone that we knew personally, and he was someone who was constantly involved in our podcast. I don't know if Jay or if Oscar, you wanted to add anything.
I just kind of want to add that he's my uncle's brother, so it kind of hit home for him and my cousin Tiago and my cousin Amanda. Like you said, he was a very knowledgeable person, knew everything, knew a lot about Benfica. He was like the one that commented on, sometimes we would forget a player, he would write the name of the guy on the chat, on the post. But it was a tough to hear about his passing, and hopefully Colleen, his wife, Mike, his son, and Danny, his son, can rest easy that he's in a better place now. Obviously, we would love to have him here, but he was a great person. He was a good person to have good chats with at the club, and every time I saw him, he would always ask me if I saw the game, or always brought up Benfica. So he was a really big fan of Benfica, and he loved the club a lot, just like we do. But it's a sad day. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to say those words.
Amen to that. Oscar, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it all. Tony, I remember him at the club, at the Portuguese club, every single time I went there. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. This one, it hit home because it was a shock. Nobody was expecting it. Like, I saw pictures of him on Facebook, and he was like having fun in Portugal with his family, and then all of a sudden, we hear these news. I just want to say my condolences to the family, and just to know that he's in a better place now.
Yeah, and sorry for getting emotional here, but Mike just sent us a message, and love you guys, and again, man, we send our condolences. I can't imagine what you guys are going through, but you know that you have us, and the Benfica family is strong, and anything that you need, you know that we're here for you. So rest in peace, Tony, and thank you. All right, let's move on here. So Benfica 4, Vitória 0. Game at the weekend that had one narrative, and then the game quickly changed in the first half. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the start of the season. We haven't been here since the beginning of October, or since the beginning of August, so a lot of things have changed. So we have a lot to cover from the first 4 official games, or 5 if you want to count the Vitória game, which we'll talk about. Transfer windows. We had the Champions League group stage or draw just last week. We'll talk about the chaos that's going on in the Portuguese league, which seems to every year just progressively gets worse and worse. And then we have some final thoughts at the end. But again, as always, feel free to leave your thoughts in your comments. Para a malta que esteja a ver em português, esteja à vontade de participar aqui nesta nossa conversa. Não se esqueçam de dar um like neste direto, de partilhar. Se puderem, agradecemos. Benfica 4, Vitória 0. Benfica starts with, I would say, the lineup that probably most expected, with maybe one question mark. Samu in goal, Ba, Tony, Otamendi, Auschness, João Mário, Coxu, João Neves, Di Maria, Petar Musa, and Rafa. Jay, I'll ask you first about the starting 11. Anyone in that starting 11 that I guess surprised you, given the context of what we had been seeing and those available?
Not really, I guess I would say, because I figured Tino would keep his spot where he was, but that wasn't the case. Brought in Neves, which I'm okay with, just because we probably didn't have to defend that much in this game, so I can understand it. But yeah, nothing really. Happy that João Mario's back on the starting 11, in my opinion, because I think he brings a little bit something different. Since he's been starting, he's been playing a lot better. And I'm glad Musa got to start over Arthur, because I think that he's had the better – Musa's been better than Arthur overall, and I feel like Arthur still needs to get his legs underneath him. So, like, to me, nothing really new.
Okay.
Nothing surprising.
Oscar, before I pass to you, I just want to run through some of these comments quickly before I forget. Best with Wilito said he's going to Terceiro Anel in reference to Tony. Carlos Amado says, I didn't know Tony, but I'll tip one down for him today. I've lost a few this year too. It just sucks. Best with Wilito says the cure for baldness in the U.S. is a hat. Oscar, do you agree? Yeah, I mean, I still got a decent amount of hair. I mean, my hairline has receded a little bit.
My shit's gone, bro. My shit's going.
Oscar doesn't need a hat yet.
Kid loves his head and shoulders over there.
Rui Pinho says, rest in peace. Pedro Moro says, my condolences. And he says, a equipa está a começar a carburar, as contratações estão cada vez mais intrusadas e as coisas vão começar a funcionar cada vez melhor. Já lá chegamos sobre esse assunto. Rui Mark says, almost forgot about you guys. Good evening, ladies. Can't forget about us. I was on vacation, so that's why. It's been a little while, but we're back. Oscar, any surprises in this 11 again, given the context? You're muted, dude. You new at this? Oscar forgot how to use the mute button, too.
I got it. So, no, you guys know how I feel about the whole goalkeeper situation and all that. In this game, I mean, I don't trust Samu. I thought this was going to be a difficult game against us, with Guimarães being in top places. You know, they had a really good start of the season. Samu I thought that this game was going to prove a lot, and it started off that way. But we'll talk about the game in a little bit. But the starting 11, other than the goalkeeper, I don't like Freddie in the left back, because I think it's a waste of his talent. But in
this case, there was no option. Right?
There's no other option. The guy is hurt. We don't have a backup for him. So I agree. I mean, Florentino, I don't think deserves to be on the bench. He's had a great start of the season as well, in my view. But But does it make sense for him to start with a Trinco, like Jay said, in a game like this at home, where you probably don't have to defend as much? Well, the thing is, with adapting Freddie to the left back, playing with a goalkeeper that is not very safe, against the Guimarães that hadn't lost a game or lost any points, it was risky. So would I have been playing more conservative? Maybe I would have put Tino from the start.
Fair. Are you surprised by Musa starting over Cabral?
No, I'm not. I think Musa deserves this chance. It's too bad that he didn't score a goal. He really wanted to score that goal against Guimarães. You could tell that
He played well.
A few chances that he could have easily laid it off for a tap in, and he tried shooting it. But he was trying to get his goal because I think he knows that it's slim pickings right now. So like if he either gets his chance or he loses a spot for good.
Yeah. In terms of the game, Benfica won 4-0. Vitória had a sending off in the first half. I want to say it was in the 18th minute. Mins with, in my opinion, an unfortunate challenge. He's not even looking at Otamendi. He's got his leg high. Otamendi comes in and he catches him on the head. I'm of the opinion that I think referees sometimes have to have an understanding of the context of the situation, right? Like there's fouls and there's fouls, right? Like there's some that are malicious and some that are, in my opinion, that one wasn't necessarily malicious. It was an unfortunate. I can understand the red card, but I think he was unfortunate. But eventually that ended up unlocking the game. But how would you analyze, how would you analyze the game pre-red card and post-red card? And Oscar was able to watch the game. Jay didn't have a chance to watch the game, so I'll keep my questions to Jay more general. But Oscar, how would you break that up in the two phases?
I don't know if you noticed, but right before the red card, Guimarães could have gone up 1-0 with
they hit the post. But I think he was offsides.
Well, still, but like
they would have had to go to VAR. Yes,
the game was very, very close. It was a 50-50 game until the red card. The red card came way early in the game, and it opened it up the floodgates for Benfica. Benfica, from there on, I think they took over. But before that, I think the game was split down the middle even. Guimarães was attacking, Benfica was attacking. It could have been a tricky game. The red card basically unlocked it for Benfica.
Yeah. And I think once we went up 2 and 3, I think we scored. Freddie scores that goal early in the second half, and then it almost was like the team went into a cruise control, right? No need to kind of overdo it, don't force it, and the game kind of went into a lull. Rui Mark says Cabral does not look in shape. Jay, I'll toss this one to you. What do you think about this? Because I think we've all said the same thing.
I feel like he needs, like Rui just said, he needs to get in shape a little bit. Looks a little heavy. But I like how he hustles. I like the way he plays overall. I just feel like he needs to get a couple in. I think the only difference between him and Musa, really, they're both tall, strong dudes, and Musa's burying them, and Cabral really hasn't. But I think Cabral needs some more time to adjust to the team a little bit. Overall, I'm not a patient person, so as you already know, I'm all for, if I get it, you want to have the guy play. He costs us $20 million, but if he's not in shape, then play the best 11 that you have, right? Play the best 11 in form. I think he's shown some good opportunities and had some good chances that were saved or just missed. But right now, I prefer Musa, even though I'm not the hugest Musa guy in the world. But I think right now he's the best option for up front. But Cabral does show some signs, even being heavy, that
he does.
I feel like he's going to produce for Benfica eventually.
But I think we also need to understand that he didn't really have a preseason either, right? He comes to Benfica. He didn't really have much of a preseason, new team, getting involved in everything. So I think we can at least give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't have the same preseason as some of his teammates did to be able to get him into that form. But I'm hopeful that with this 2-week time frame between games, that he'll be at the Seychelles and kind of working on his fitness, and hopefully by the time we play against Vizela, he's in a little bit better form. Oscar, Pedro says, I think that Samu brings another thing that Audi didn't bring, which is being capable of playing with his feet. I feel safe with him as the goalkeeper. Do you What do you think about this?
No, I don't agree with that. Like, I mean, I've seen Samu put the ball out of bounds just like Audi did in a lot of the times that he was under pressure. Like legit, like he just kicks the ball up. I've seen him like a easy pass to the sideline that he puts it over the guy's head. Like Samu is not the greatest with the feet either. And another thing, I don't know if you watched the game, but if you saw the goal that got disallowed by Guimarães, he was
it was chaos.
he was catching. I think he was on the batatas on the area. I didn't. Where the hell was he? Like he was like just
him and two center backs. They basically like ran into it. It was legit like a comedy show.
Yeah, they were running around like he doesn't have positioning like Audi did in the middle of the post. Like that's one thing that I don't trust him. I don't trust him. And against who was the team that we won 3-2 the second game of the season? Gil Vicente. Like you see the last goal that he conceded. Like that guy is not, to me, a safe bet to have in goalkeeper. As a goalkeeper for Benfica, I don't trust him.
Fair, and I can agree. I mean, we've all shared our thoughts here on the whole Audi situation, and I think one of the things that I and many have criticized Audi for was his inability to be consistent with his feet, which plays a big part when you try to play out of the back, right? He's not an Ederson. He's not a Diogo Costa. I think Samu is better, and he's shown that in some aspects of the game in these last two games that he's played. But on the other side, right, while he may be more comfortable with his feet, in some cases too comfortable, he's had a couple of close calls where he held onto it too long and almost got pickpocketed. But on the other side of it, I think he shows some obvious frailties, balls in the air, coming out to balls, right? Like that's just, again, he's young, but every player is going to go through this, right? There's pieces that they're better at and not as good at. Samu is better with his feet, in my opinion, and many others than Audi, but Audi is a far superior goalkeeper overall, I think, than Samu. Again, given the age, the experience, there's a lot of factors here. Let's see what else we got here. SLBS says, didn't see the game this week. If Musa's red card against Boavista is confirmed completely uncalled for, I'm assuming you're referring to the red card that Guimarães or the Vitória got. SLBS says, sorry for your loss, fellas. Pedro says, I agree, give him some time in terms of Cabral. Vespa Luizio said, I would insist on Cabral every game. Musa has bench magic formula.
He does have that magic coming from the bench. I'll give him that. That dude,
he does. His goals to minutes ratio is incredible. Last season, I believe he was top 2 in Europe in terms of goals to minutes ratio, which is impressive. SLBS says, Pedro, Samu does bring something new, frangos.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I think one of the goals, some say both, against Gil Vicente, he maybe could have done a little bit better. I agree that goal against Vitória that was called off, I think there's a little hesitation, a little bit of chaos, a little bit of lack of experience. Like I said, it was almost like the Three Stooges, him and two. I don't even remember what center backs they were, but they basically just like they all ran into each other and fell over. I think it was at that time Moratu and maybe Tomás Araújo, I think, might have been in at that time.
But if you think about this, let's think about this. And when Audi did that against Boavista first round, what happened? The same thing. He hesitated to come out, did a whole freaking mess. Then Antonio Silva had to do a PK in the box, and all of a sudden Audi got the blame for the loss, right? But in this case, we happened to win this game. But if we had lost it, does the comments come back to Samu's going to be?
And I mean, he did get grief for it. I think, like you said, right? I think if we win the game against Boavista, none of this plays out the way it did. I don't think.
Yeah.
I just think that heightened it. Again, Audi has had his criticisms in the 5 or 6 years that he was at the club. I think we all agreed that, did he do something severe enough to warrant being benched? No, right? But again, I think the loss against Boavista, I think having someone like Trubin in your back pocket, I think facilitated that reaction and that decision, right? Opposed to if you don't have a Trubin and it's just Audi, Samu, and Kokubu, because André Gomes is hurt, right? It's like, do you want to really take that chance? Probably not, right? So I think Trubin made the decision a little bit easier. Carlos Amaro says Samu's still better than Vlaco with his feet. Perfect illustrations when Ausch just sends him a difficult ball, but he dominates the ball without a sweat. And again, like that's the difference, right? Like Samu's better with his feet, but if you go into a Champions League game and you have Audi or Samu, 100 out of 100 times you're going to naturally pick Audi. At least I would. And I've been a critic of Audi, but when I put the two up against each other, I think it's maybe difficult or crazy to say that we would go Samu over someone like Audi, even when we look at his deficiencies in certain elements. Pedro Moro says, so that's to SLB, yes, so that's the same thing that Audi did in terms of Frangus. Rui Marx has just put the Ukrainian in already. That guy is a post de electricidad. He's huge. Pedro Moro says he's a younger player. We have to give him support to become a better player. I agree. And I think a loan would have been good for him, but unfortunately now that gets a little bit tricky. Although they're talking about Horn, the goalie from I don't remember where the hell he was in Germany, but he's a free agent now, and there's potential. There's rumors that Benfica might sign him as a free agent. But again, you now really can't loan out Samu unless he goes to Saudi Arabia or Russia. So I think that gets a little bit tricky. SLB, yes, very risky to let Audi go without testing Truby. He should have stayed at least until December. And Kenny had talked about that in our article that we posted today in terms of our August health check. Jay, how do you feel about Audi leaving? We got Samu, and we know what we're going to get with Samu, at least in the near future. But the uncertainty of Trubin, and I think Oscar's mentioned it in his comments in our group chat as well. Like, what if Trubin comes in and he's highly sought after goalkeeper? Everyone that you hear talk about him talks very highly about him, how he has the potential to be one of the best in the world. But again, we've not seen him tested at our club. His numbers at Shakhtar, I think he averaged 1 goal a game, or maybe even more than 1 goal. I think Oscar had sent us the numbers, but I think he averaged more than 1 goal a game in terms of the games that he played last year. But how do you feel about this situation of the unknown behind the curtain?
So I'm hopeful, right? I really don't know much to say about him. I need to see him play. I've heard nothing but good things about him. I know he's highly sought. He was highly sought after. But I mean, right now in the Portuguese league, I'm okay with Samu. Not really that confident, really. But I'm hopeful that Trubin, or whatever how you say his name, can come in and take the starting job from Samu. But I also haven't had really any complaints about Samu, but Samu also hasn't been really challenged, right? So I'm kind of in a position where I don't know how to go about it on to pick. I really need to see these guys play a little bit more. But I mean, Samu is an under 21 Portuguese national player.
And he wasn't even a starter for the U21. There was another guy playing who got cut by Vitória, the goalie.
Oh, really?
So it makes you wonder, like, how highly rated is Samu in the Portuguese ranks if he's not even the starter for the U21, and the goalie that started wasn't that good, and he got cut by Vitória.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I don't know. I know that he was really the goalie growing up in the ranks out of his age group, but like I said, I'm hopeful right now. I'm okay with Samu because we're playing the Portuguese teams, but once Champions League starts coming around,
and it's coming fast.
Yeah, I'm hoping Trubin is the real deal, and he kind of takes over that position eventually. I like I said, this is a tough one for me to kind of answer because I really don't know much about the goalie. I just hope he's not like another Roberto where he comes in, costs a lot of money, and he's fucking a frangu left and right. But yeah, like I said, I'm kind of indifferent right now with the goalie position. I was never really an oldie guy to begin with. I've mentioned this to you guys plenty of times. I thought he was okay, an above average goalie. I hated how he came out on corner kicks. I hated how he defended PKs because I felt like he never defended one, which I know it's PKs. It's hard, but like, it's just one of those things that like, I knew if you got a PK against him, I knew it was going to be a goal. Like it was just an automatic. But like I also didn't like how he came out on corner kicks, how he comes out on those free kicks. Like I feel like he was shaky in that place as well. But like I said, I'm hoping we paid a lot of money for Trubin. I'm hoping that during this break, the international break, that he comes out, works with the team, and eventually takes over the spot.
Now, my
Oscar?
concern about Trubin is the following: like, it doesn't take that long for somebody to come in, especially in the position of a goalkeeper, to come in and get the starting job if you came to start, right? We've had goalies in the past that, like, especially we sold our starter, right? And we spent all this money to get his replacement. And how long does it take to a goalkeeper to get adapted to the system or to the team? You're a goalkeeper. Your job is to defend.
I get what you're saying, but look at it on the other side, right? This guy comes from Ukraine. He probably only speaks English, doesn't speak Portuguese, right? And you want your goalkeeper, right? If Benfica's after what we think they're after is someone who can play out of the back, communication is key, right? So I think the way I see it is they've eased him. They're going to ease him into this to allow him to, one, familiarize himself with the system, his teammates, and try to familiarize himself from a communication perspective to figure out how they can make it work, because he's not going to figure out Portuguese overnight, right? And Carlos Amaro says it here. Maybe that's a language barrier. I get what you're saying, right? As a goalkeeper, you come in and save the ball, and that. But I think it's more complex than that.
I wonder if Audi, even now, he's been there for 5-6 years. His interviews are all in English. Like, I wonder if he speaks Portuguese. Like,
but I don't know what Trubin's English is like either. Like, maybe he doesn't speak that good English. I don't know. He was in Ukraine the whole time. Audi's been a little bit more traveled. He's Greek. He played in Germany.
I think that's an excuse. If you pay $10 million for a goalkeeper, especially in the Portuguese league, it's to come to start. He's been here for a month, and I haven't seen him play. So
correct.
Either
he missed,
either he's good enough to come and start, since we lost our starting goalkeeper, or he's coming to practice and Roger's seeing something that we're not seeing here.
But you have to also remember, I'm trying to think if Shakhtar's season has already started. It might have already started, actually, but I don't know if he actually played. They started in July, but let me see if he actually played or not. No, he wasn't even playing. So he may be a situation of preseason as well, right? Like, he may not have been in the preseason. I don't know what that looks like. But do we all agree that the likelihood of Trubin starting against Vizela in our next game is high, if not a must? If
he's going to play Champions League, yeah.
You have to, because we got Vizela next, and then we got Salzburg right away. So I mean, and then we got Porto in a couple. So we got. I just had it up here. What the hell did I do?
So put it this way, Mike. I really can't. I can't speak for Roger, right? But I would say whoever starts that Vizela game is going to
has to start the Champions League.
But
I would assume, because we got Vizela, we got Benfica, Salzburg, we got travel to Portimonense, and then we got Porto, right? So we got a hectic month of October, and there's no way that Samu starts against Vizela and then Trubin goes in against Salzburg. Like, that would just be suicide, right? So I'm assuming that with this break, he's going to toss Trubin in away to Vizela, and then he basically is now the starter. That would what we would assume. What
if he does the opposite? What if he does exactly what you said, that it would be suicide?
I mean, it could work out, right? But I think if you're going to toss him in for the first game and not even ease him into it, you're basically throwing him into the deep end without a buoy.
Are you then going to say something negative about Roger, or are you going to still?
I would say that he had an opportunity to start him against Vizela. Worst case, I can understand the period of adaptation if he starts against Vizela. If he doesn't start against Vizela, I'll start to question why he hasn't started yet. I understand he wants to give Samu confidence, blah, 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 blah. But, like, this isn't a competition of, like, trying to prop people up. Like, we know Samu isn't going to get us through the season, right? We just paid $10 million for a goalkeeper. He needs to come in at some point. If he doesn't start against Vizela, then I agree with you. I would be critical of his management of this situation on top of me having some question marks about the whole Audi situation in itself. Does that make you happy?
No, that's fine. That's fine. As long as you it's
No,
a fair thing. It's
no, I
100%.
agree with you, right? Like I'm not. Roger is God. I think he has his benefits, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt given what he did. But I can also agree with you that in certain situations, I think there is a warrant or a need for a criticism. If in fact Trubin doesn't start against Vizela, I will question it even more so if Trubin then starts against Salzburg, which I think would be a ridiculous decision. Kevin says, how soon should we renew Rafa's contract?
Oh boy.
As we all know, he's out of contract at the end of the year. I think
been
we could
balling.
maybe all agree that he's probably been our best player this season so far. 5 games in.
He's unbelievable.
He's playing unreal. But like we've talked about in the past, Rafa's that guy where like he's out guns blazing, crushing it, and then all of a sudden like goes through a lull and disappears. So do you have any hope that do either of you have any hope that he resigns?
I actually, I'm hearing my echo. Somebody.
Jay, it might be Jay's audio. Just
What,
turn
you
your
can hear
volume
me?
down a little bit, Jay. No, we can hear ourselves.
What do you mean my audio?
Hold on, let me mute you and see if it stops. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just turn your volume down a little bit because we can hear the volume coming out on your side. Oscar, any confidence?
I think Rafa's a type of player that doesn't like. I don't think he wants to leave Portugal. I really don't. I think we have a better chance of Rafa renewing his contract this year than we had Grimaldo last year.
Really?
And I really do. I really think that Rafa will eventually. It depends on how he does this year and how the team does. I think he'll be like. I mean, he's playing soccer for fun this year. I think he's on his high. He seems happy, and I don't think he'll want to leave Benfica at the end of the year. I honestly think that we have a better chance with him than we did with Grimaldo.
Fair. I agree with you in terms of the Portuguese aspect. I think that plays a big part. And I think we've all talked about, he seems like a very introverted guy and doesn't like to do anything. And he's got trust issues, as his tattoo says. So I think he'd be more inclined potentially to stay in his homeland than venture off. Jay, any confidence?
I really hope he stays. I just don't know if we're going to be able to match what he wants, to be honest.
And what he wants is what the media is saying he wants. And I know that Rui Costa's come out and said, like, what the media is saying and what he asked for is not the same.
So, yeah, I mean, in that aspect, I do you want Rafa on Benfica? Absolutely, right? Especially the way he's playing with Di Maria, the way he's connecting with Di Maria as well. I would absolutely want him to stay. But at the same time, I mean, I really just hope that we don't lose him for free, like we did with Grimaldo. If I was Ricosta, I would try to sign him, make him the highest paid or the highest paid player with Di Maria on the team, and let things work out. I mean, they seem to have a really good chemistry right now. They seem to play very well together. I would absolutely, in a heartbeat, re-sign Rafa if I was the president. I wouldn't give him anything that he wants, but I would try to do my best to try to get him to sign on the paper.
Fair. Paulo Jorge says, carrega Benfica até outro dia, malta aqui em Botica, já fica tarde. Abraço a todos. Um abraço, Paulo. Obrigado por participares aqui neste nosso cantinho. De certeza que aí é muito tarde, por isso um abraço aí para esse lado do Atlântico. SLBES says, do we all agree that we need another goalie in December? We sold Audi for 9 mil, spend that money. We sold him for 4 something plus 4 something in bonuses. Do we think we need to buy a goalie in January, guys? I mean, if Trubin is the real deal and Samu's our backup, are you guys comfortable with Trubin or Samu as our backup?
First of all, let's find out how Trubin is. we have 2 very big unknowns. Do we have
Fair.
do we have to like rush this fire in December and like and get a new goalkeeper because we just spent 10 million on a goalkeeper that we don't know nothing about. I mean, let's look at the guys that Raja has brought in. Not a many have panned out. Like the two young kids, Nordic kids. One of them just got loaned again, and we paid a ton of money for them, right?
Yep.
So does Roger have an eye for talent? Let's see with this Trubin guy, because that's his pick.
I mean, he got Freddie. He nailed Freddie, that's for sure.
100%. Freddie. I mean, he probably has a backup for Freddie, which is a goalkeeping job. I don't know. Like maybe that's his plan all along. But that's very risky, man.
To me, it all depends on. It seems like Samu is on the good graces with Roger, so I really don't think we're going to be shopping for a goalie. What I would like to see is us kind of go out and find another forward. I don't know if you guys are opposed to that. I really don't believe in Casper. I know
he saved us.
I know. I get it. You score that.
No,
goal,
I get it. I agree.
But I just don't see the talent there. I just don't. Like, yeah, maybe he has talent, but I just don't see it like Benfica level. Like, I don't even see him.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't see it.
And maybe the goal can unlock a little bit of the pressure that he may have been feeling, but I think we all agree that he's definitely the third option in the totem pole, unless Artur Cabral is a complete
and
miss.
Either go find another Freddie that can play all positions, or go find another right back, a backup right back. Because I don't know how long João Vitor or Ba. The way Bob plays, I could see a little knock out for a few games, and then we're playing with João Vitor. Like, I don't mind him. I like his pace, but I would like someone more reliable, I would say.
Fair. Kevin says Rafa really doesn't have much market value. He's the next João Moutinho. I think he's got a little bit more market value than João Moutinho at the moment. But I agree. I think we've talked about it before. A player of his capabilities, what he brings to the table, goals, assists, speed. It's odd that some bigger clubs, to our knowledge, haven't come knocking over the years. But again, there could be some that he just declines and it's never heard of. I don't know. But it does seem weird that his market value isn't higher than we expect given his output. We don't have a backup for his position, Rafa. We don't. I mean, we got Geds if he's healthy, but he's not always healthy. Carlos says, I'm pretty sure Rui's trying to renew with Rafa. He also says, kudos to Rui Costa for the preemptive Jean Neves renewal. I did get a little chuckle out of Rui Costa's statements yesterday about Jean Neves didn't care about how much he was making. He just wanted to know how long he can stay at Benfica and when the next game was. I mean, I think you can see that the kid kind of breathes Benfica. He came up through the ranks. But again, we've seen players like him that have come up through the ranks and at the first opportunity have jumped. But time will tell. We'll see if he's one of those. Again, we understand it from a financial perspective. It's a big change. We can't fault them for that. Sure, we would all maybe do the same thing in their situation, right? You don't, just because you leave doesn't mean that you stop liking Benfica. Right, when that money hits your bank account, it's a complete game changer for everyone. So I get it. Rui Mark says the start for Roca is going to be coming in a backup in January. Benfica has been interested in him since last season. Yeah, Rubarena or something like that. I think that's his name. It's a long Spanish name. He saved the penalty this weekend. A really nice save too. But yeah, we've been linked with him for about a year now. To close this out quickly, Oscar Auschwitz was voted MVP by Sport TV, was also voted MVP by Goal Point with the 9.3. Who would you say was your MVP?
To me, without a doubt, is Rafa. I thought Auschwitz had a really good game. He scored a goal too. I mean, with playing against 10 guys, Guimarães, we didn't have much defensive work to do after they went up after they were down 10 guys. So I think Rafa going forward, he was a legit bulldozer. That guy was going through everybody. He was opening up spaces. He was involved in all goals. Yep. He was just unreal. So I think it's unfair not to give Rafa the MVP for the game.
I agree. I think Auschwitz played out of his mind. But I agree. I think Rafa being in all four goals, his decision making seems to be a little bit better this year. His final pass seems to be getting a little bit better. Hopefully this is the Rafa to stay. Especially with Champions League coming up. But I do think that players like Di Maria, I think, open up space for him. Right, someone like Di Maria, the creativity, the concern of having him on the other side of the field attracts attention from the defenders, which I think then attracts or opens up space for Rafa as well. So I think that may help him in his favor. But yeah, Rafa was outstanding in that game. Although Freddie won it, I think Rafa was overall best player in that game. Kevin says Rafa just can't fucking finish. I mean, he scored this season, right? So maybe it's a new season, new Rafa. I mean, he scored with his head, he scored with his feet. He's got assists. So we'll see. Maybe he's improved this season. Rui says Kokshu has been a great add too. I agree. And Oscar and Jay have had their uncertainties about him, and fair. He's another one that's been here for a month, 2 months, new league, new language. But Jay, Oscar, any comments you want to add to that? I know that we've talked about Kokshu.
You're
muted.
You're muted, Jay.
He's talking. Jay, you're muted.
Jay, you're muted.
He's had 2 good games since he's got here. I know I'm giving him time, but
fair. He played 5. He's had 2 good ones.
For a person that costs $25 million, possibly 30, or whatever the hell, whatever we paid
25
for,
plus 5.
I expected him to be hitting the ground running like Di Maria is, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, but don't forget Di Maria when he first got here, he didn't hit the ground running.
I even said it one time. I was like, start João Neves over Kokshu. Let him play with Tino, and we'll figure it out. For a guy that, and I'll give him props. That was a beautiful goal he scored over the weekend. Hopefully that kind of helps him get his wheels underneath him, because he has been terrible for the majority part of the game.
I think terrible is a little bit harsh.
Okay, if I had to rate him between 1 to 10, if I had to rate him between 1 to 10, I'll give him a 4. Oof. So what do you think? What do you think that is?
That's a little rough. Oscar, you want to add anything to that?
Someone cost. I remember when Darwin Nunez cost us that much money. I remember the grief that he got. Well, guess what? I'm on that bandwagon now, and I'm going to give it to Kokshu. Kokshu, prove me wrong. Keep playing like you did this past weekend, and then I'll shut the fuck up.
No, I gotta agree with Jay, and I'll tell you why. Because we did spend a lot of money on Kokshu. We spent a somewhat good amount of money on Enzo, and he came in and he played well.
He was mid-season form.
That's fine, and but so everybody that's played at Benfica this year is mid-season, is not mid-season form. They're starting from scratch.
Correct. But who's playing better than him in the midfield?
Neves is, and
okay. Now, what's the difference? What's the difference between the two of them and Kokshu? They were on the team last year. They understand the dynamics and they speak the language. Kokshu wasn't on the team last year. It's all new to him. He doesn't speak the language.
I didn't know soccer was not a language. I mean, I thought soccer was a language itself. So
if you go play with a group of people that don't speak the same language as you, are you going to feel comfortable?
They understand soccer. They don't understand the words, but they understand soccer.
I get that, but
we all speak English now, dude. Come on.
Okay, but what I'm saying is a completely different setting for him.
Look, I fine. You can. I'll give him until October. And then if in October he's not a stud like we expect him to be, like legit, like undeniably the starting 11, then we start asking questions.
I can agree with that. At the end of October, I think is a good gauge of evaluation.
Correct. So, but right now he shouldn't be like automatic 11, starting 11. He should, and Roger's putting him there, and I think it has to do with the price tag. All right. I think Florentino and Neves. And I'm gonna knock on wood. Nobody's gonna kill me. I think Chiquinho deserves a few more minutes just for what he did last year, and that's fine. I mean, you guys don't have to agree with me when she comes to Chiquinho. But when Enzo left last year, Chiquinho stepped up big time, and he's He's a major reason we won the championship last year. We didn't let it fold.
But did you see some of the stats about? I agree with you. Chiquinho definitely played out of his skin, but I think we all agreed that he was playing far above what his actual capabilities are.
To me, there's how do you know his actual capabilities? Maybe nobody's ever pushed him out, got him out of him.
Did you see the numbers of Chiquinho when he's on the field this season so far?
Yeah, because he's not a starter. He doesn't feel confident. He comes in at the 85th minute. Just like
He doesn't feel confident. He was in the team last year. Why doesn't he have confidence? If he doesn't have confidence and he was there last year, then what's Coxu have?
Mike, listen. We've both played ball. Jay's played ball as well. Like we know that if somebody puts me in the 85th minute, my touch on the ball is not the same as if I start every game.
Correct, but that's how Chiquinho ended up building his game time last season too, and then he ended up having to start.
He built his game time because Enzo left.
I don't know why
he was playing few minutes.
I don't understand this whole Chiquinho coming. I think Chiquinho's an okay player. I think he hit a ceiling last year. But if there's a player that needs to play, it's João Neves over Coxu. I'm just saying.
He's already playing. He's already playing.
Yeah, but
he's playing with
Coxu. I wouldn't move around the Tinu, Neves, and Coxu. Like I wouldn't move from those three. I think Chiquinho is like that last minute.
I agree.
Like that fourth option, no matter what.
He might be the fifth option with Ocean.
So who do you play, Dank? Like who do you play?
Coxu and Neves.
If you play
look if I'm going by form, like how they're playing right now, I would start Tinu and I would start Neves in the midfield. That would be my midfield.
So you play with a two-guy midfield.
I don't think Neves is a defensive midfielder.
I know, but you play with a two-man.
He's not. He's an 8.
I would, dude. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to ask. This was one of my questions, so I'm going to ask you this right now. So Jay, I'll start with you. With the current roster that we have, everyone in form and playing at their highest capacity, who is your starting 11? Jay.
Well,
I think most of them pick themselves, but
the goalie is a toss up for me. I really don't know how to, but I'll probably pick Samu because he's more has been playing. Then I would go Ba, Tony, Otamendi. I would like Jurisic, but he's not. He's hurt.
I'm saying everyone's in form.
So yeah, you would start Freddie in the left back.
You're playing Freddie.
Is everyone in form?
Everybody in form.
Oh, no! I would pick the guy that we just.
Yeah, the whole roster's available. Who's your starting?
Okay, 11? So Jurisic, whatever his name is.
Okay.
I would go Tinu Coxu, personally.
So you leave Neves on the bench.
I would leave Neves on the bench. If they're all supposed to be informed, then yeah, Coxu's supposed to be better, right?
Damn. So you think
Oscar, you'll have a turn, okay? And then I'll do Di Maria. I will do Di Maria, João Mario, Rafa, and Musa.
Damn, so you're leaving Freddie off?
I would leave Freddie off, yeah.
Damn. That's a hot take right there.
I like the team. I like having Tinu. And Freddie was my MVP last year. But I like having Tinu there as like kind of like another defender to destroy the other person's game and give Coxu a little more freedom up front to kind of push forward a little bit more. That's why that would be my optimal lineup. And I'm leaving Neves out. I would actually prefer Neves over João Mario, but the way João Mario played the last few games, you could see the difference on how Benfica has played. He kind of sometimes he kind of slows down the game a little bit. He controls the game a lot better. Neves is like Di Maria. You just he'll go right at you. Boom. He'll go after the defender. That's just my opinion.
We got Kevin, who's got the foam finger for Jay. And then we got Rui, who's saying, João Neves and Tinu, Jay, please don't talk anymore. So we got two
remarks. Call in. Never mind.
All right, Oscar. Everyone in form.
Bullshit take too.
Who's your 11?
All right. Oh my God. All right. I'm gonna block off the comments. All right. Everybody in form, and because of the money they cost, I'm gonna have to go with Truben in goal. All right. And even though I'm legit guessing because I don't know anything about this guy.
We all are.
Bot as a right back, Tony Otamendi, and a left back Jurisic because obviously we paid a lot of money for that left back. I would go with the Coxu, João Neves in the midfield, and just because depends on the game. If it's a Champions League against Liverpool, I'm using Tino. I'm talking about a normal game, standard
Yeah.
game,
Yep.
right? And then I'll put Di Maria coming off at the 60th minute. So mark that because Neres comes in for him at the 60th minute. And then I'm gonna go, dude. I'm gonna go with Jay. I'm a Joe Mario guy. You know that I'm a Joe Mario guy, but I'm gonna do Cabral and Rafa in the front, and then Joe Mario.
And
So
you're
I'm
leaving
sorry,
Freddie off as well.
I think Roger at this point is leaving Freddie off by playing him at left back because he's obviously doesn't have it, because watch you had Jurisic and Ristic at one point and he played Freddie there, so it might be that Roger maybe doesn't trust he doesn't think Freddie is better than Joe Mario. Maybe he doesn't think that.
Yeah, I don't know. Jay, you're muted.
Taking Freddie off my starting 11 is very hard.
Me too.
Which is a
Agreed.
great problem to have.
Correct.
When you have depth on the team, right? And I don't know. It's tough. Like maybe put Freddie instead of Tinu, but I just like how Tinu like disrupts the other team's game. Like that's why I like him so much.
Oscar says, Rui says Oscar and Jay need their heads checked. Let's see some of these comments.
But because I think he thinks
Freddie.
that he thinks Freddie should start over Joe Mario. Is that what he thinks?
I'm assuming, but I'll let him answer, and I'll run through some of these comments. Kevin
Hey,
says,
Rui, give me your fucking starting 11, you big shit talker.
Let's see what Ruiz. SLBS says Trubin, Ba, Bernard, Otamendi, Tony, and then he's got Tomás Araújo, defensive midfielder, Florentino, medio ofensivo, Neves, extremo esquerdo, Neres, extremo direito, Di Maria, and Rafa, ponta de lança, Musa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. SLBS, mas tu jogas com 12 jogadores? Como é que é isto? He's got 12 players. SLBS is 11. He's got Trubin, Ba, Bernat, Otamendi, Tony, Tomás Araújo, Florentino, Neves, Neres, Di Maria, Rafa, and Musa. He's got 12 players in his 11. See, no ball. You can only have 11. Try again. Kevin says taking Di Maria off. Stop talking. There's only one reason why Neres isn't starting. It has to be that he's unwilling to do the things expected of him when the opposition wins the ball or has the ball. There's no other justification for keeping him off. I've talked about this before. If you watch David Neres offensively, he is one of the best when he's locked in. We saw it against Tidal Amadora. Defensively, he leaves a little bit of a gap. He's that type of player like Tarapt, where he is the risk taker, and every team needs that. He's the, as we call it in Portuguese, Waberlatas. He's that risk taker that's going to try to pick that pass that most players are going to be hesitant to make that pass. And when it works, it's outstanding. When it doesn't work, sometimes it catches the team in a transition and it unbalances the team. For me, that's one of the main reasons why Neres hasn't been starting, given the other options that we have. Now, last year he was a starter and then he got hurt, right? And then he found it difficult to come into the team. But I would say I think that's probably one of the big reasons why he doesn't start as frequently. In addition to, I think we have significant amount of depth, which gives us the luxury of being able to have a player like David Neres on the bench. But in my opinion, I think that's one of the main reasons, if not the main reason why he doesn't start, is because you look at the way we're set up. You got Rafa, you got Di Maria, right? Di Maria can handle the ball. Rafa can handle the ball. He can track back. Di Maria doesn't defend that much, right? But then on the other side, you got someone like a João Mario or an Auschwitz, two guys that give you the certainty with the ball at your feet. They can slow things down. They can speed things up. They're not going to be as risky with the ball, right? So they keep the team in that composure. If you take one of those guys out and you put Neres, and then you got Neres, Di Maria, who defensively don't help as much. You got Rafa, who's going to help defensively, and then you got a striker, right? So then you're basically exposing your two center midfielders, right? And they're just going to be getting run ragged. So finding that balance of, it's not always a simple fact of here's your best 11, just put them in and they'll figure it out, right? Like you have to find that balance. And I think that's why Neres doesn't start as much, because the other players on the other side don't defend as much, right? So you can't have basically 4 attacking players and 3 of them don't defend and you expose your midfield. So that's my take as a trainer de bancada.
I totally forgot that we just got Bernat too.
Yeah.
And
So my 11 is Trubin based on expectation. Again, I haven't seen him. I'll watch him for the Ukraine national team in these coming games. Left back, I'm going to say Bernat, given his experience, given his profile. I think he's very similar to Grimaldo, and I think it'll give Jurasek an opportunity, like Rui Costa said yesterday, the opportunity to grow and develop without the pressure of being that guy. So Bernat, Tony, Otamendi, Ba, midfield, I think Kokshu and Neves. On the right, Di Maria, Rafa behind the striker. On the left-hand side, as much as I really like João Mario and how he's playing right now, and he played well last season and he had a lull, I just think it's really difficult to leave someone like Auschwitz off. But even if Auschwitz stayed off and João Mario stayed on, I don't think we lose significant, right? I think the two of them give us a lot of certainty. And then
pretty
up top,
even, to be honest with you.
I
It's a
agree. The only
preference
difference is that Freddie has more stamina. He's able to get up and down the field more. He's more aggressive. He's more intense. But then you could argue that João Mario is more certain with the ball and he gives you more comfort with the ball in possession than Freddie does. So they have their pros and cons. But I don't think we lose drastically with one or the other. I would go with Freddie. And then up top, I would hope that for the price tag, Artur Cabral grabs hold of that position. I'm a Musa fan. If it had to be Musa, I wouldn't be too upset, but I think Cabral would be our best in the starting 11. Let me just run through the comments because we got a lot of them to see what everyone's thinking. Alfredo says he's never going to sit Auschwitz. I agree, and that's a tough decision, right? Like, again, do you bench João Mario? Do you bench Freddie? It's a tough call, right? But as we've all talked about, right? I guess it's a good issue to have.
Yeah, but let me before you move on to the like we got Freddie to be a midfielder, right? Like Freddie's playing a wing position.
He's played everywhere but his position.
Yeah, and like we thought. Somebody in the comments said you can't play Neves over Freddie. What has Freddie done in the midfield at all? Nothing. He hasn't played there.
Correct. He's played 5% of his tenure at Benfica in a center mid position, and the few times that he has, even in preseason this year, he hasn't looked that good.
No.
Right. And I don't know if it's just the lack of rhythm, the lack of consistency. I know that when I watched him on the Norway national team, he played midfield, but in a midfield 3, and he was more out wide, similar to kind of what he's doing at Benfica, being in a more wide position and being able to come central. At Feyenoord, he played more in a central role. So I agree with you. I think we haven't seen. So when people are saying like Freddie's our center midfielder, he's our best center midfielder, one of our best. It's like, how do we know he's one of our? He was really good at Feyenoord at that position, but we've only seen him 5% of the time in that position while he's been at Benfica. So we can't say he's one of our best center midfielders because technically he's not. We haven't seen him enough there. He's one of our best outside midfielders. He's one of our best backup right backs. He's one of our best backup left backs. But center mid, I don't think we can confidently and realistically say he's one of our best center midfielders because he hasn't played there that much.
And I think that the idea when we got him was to play that position, the center mid position,
100%.
to be a that midfielder and dominate. And that didn't pan out as well. So I agree. Like somebody said, split time with João Mario. I think because we have two great players for that position, they should split that time. It doesn't mean come off one plays 45 minutes, the other one 45 minutes. I mean, like one plays until the 70th minute, then another comes in, and then the vice versa. And then it depends on the games and depends on what we need in that certain game. If we're playing Porto, we need more intensity. Maybe Freddie is the guy to play against Porto. If we play a Guimarães at home, maybe João Mario is the player to have there. And the same goes for the other side, Di Maria and Neves. Depends on what position, what game we're playing, and because those guys bring the same kind of thing to the game, right? Now, if we're struggling and we need to score a goal, we need to go forward. I understand putting Di Maria and Dennis at the same time, right? Because we need to get that goal. But when we have starting from 0-0, 11v11, like you said earlier, we really can't put Neves and Di Maria because they don't offer us the defensive work that we need. It's almost like PSG when they had Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe playing because they don't defend.
Yeah, if you're gonna play with Neves and Di Maria, then you're gonna have to play with someone else in the midfield to kind of help, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
With
but
Neres
then-
and
but
Di
then we
Maria,
take a
correct.
striker.
Then you need to pack the midfield, exactly. But
Yeah,
then,
and then
who do you take off?
You
Rafa?
gotta take a striker out, a Musa,
That's a
Cabral.
tough spot, right? Because you can't. You're basically exposed. Now, I think that works against teams that are just basically going to sit back, right? I think that works because you don't have to defend as much. But again, you're gonna if you're playing that formation with whether it's Kokshu, Neves, or Tinu, those two are going to get run ragged. They're just going to be chasing into space the whole game. It's going to be difficult. Shit, we got a lot of comments that started coming in, but let me run through them quickly. Rui Mark says Trubin, Ba, Tony, Otamendi, Bernat. He's healthy right now. Jon Snow, Kokshu, Freddy, Rafa, Di Maria, and Musa. Alfredo says Trubin, Ba, Silva, Otamendi, Bernat, Neves, Kokshu, Auschwitz, Di Maria, Rafa, and Musa. All right, so they're removing. They're not having confidence in Artur Cabral. Kevin says Trubin, Ba, Silva, Otamendi. Freddy, João Mario, Florentino, Di Maria, Musa, and Rafa. So I think most of us are, I think 90% are consistent. And then there's a few question marks in terms of center mid and outside mid. Ruiz says Mike's on point. I'm assuming about the Neres situation. Ruiz says, I'm driving, Jay, but my 11, Trubin, Ba, Tony, Otamendi, Spanish, PSG guy, Freddie, Neves, Koksu, Di Magia, Rafa, and Musa. I love it. We should start calling him that, the Spanish PSG guy. So again, similar. I think there's a lot of consistency in terms of the 11s that people are sharing. We need Bernat to be everything everyone is expecting him to be. Regarding Auschwitz for Jean Mario, I'm in Auschwitz camp. And again, it's going to divide a lot of people. Vesper Luisa says Alfredo Cabral needs to win the spot because Musa is losing it. That's for sure. I wouldn't say losing it. I thought he played really well. He just got unlucky to not score a goal this weekend. Let's see what else we got here.
If it was Ramos, you would have criticized him.
He played well though. He didn't play bad. If he played like shit, I would agree. I would criticize, but he didn't play bad, is what I'm saying. Damn, there's so many questions I have or comments. Alfred says Waco got scared because with Bernat coming, there was a chance Auschwitz was going to be an option. Yeah, I was going to take all these spot. Carlos says keep João Mario fresh. Let's bring his early season form to bring us through the final stretch. And again, I think that hits on what Oscar was saying, right? Have that rotation. Yeah. Don't burn him out. We have the options this year. I think last year we all agreed that we used the same 13, 14 players and burnt everyone out. Mm-hmm. I think, and this is kind of going into the other topic, is I think this year when we look at the top four, and quickly we're running into some time here, but quickly between the two of you, we got Braga invested heavily, Sporting invested heavily, Porto has invested, but not so much. I think of the top four, in my opinion, Porto's maybe the weaker in terms of plantel, but we know no matter what, they always manage to compete. But would you say fair? But would you say, Oscar, in terms of depth, that Benfica has the other three title contenders beat?
This is where I draw my concern, right? Benfica right now has a team to legit compete in the Champions League, go far in the Champions League, has a team to play the league. It's all how you manage it. And that's where my concern is can he keep everybody happy? Can he keep all these superstars that think they have us or they are obligated to start for Benfica and a team in Portugal? Can he keep those guys happy that are sitting on the bench? That's going to be a major part, because if he doesn't, I see a lot of these people either trying to force to leave in the winter market in January, and or not happy, and then somebody gets sent, the bench of the B team and whatnot. And I just hope he can motivate everybody, give everybody minutes, and keep everybody happy. That's my biggest concern. But right now, when you look at the paper, Benfica has by far the best team in Portugal.
I agree. Jay, do you agree?
Hands down, the best team in Portugal, in my opinion. I think Sporting has some really good talent on their end. I think, to be honest, out of the top four, I think Porto is a team that kind of looks like the weakest. I mean, they're fighting for points in the 17th minute of extra time.
3 of their 4 games have been like that.
pretty much when you have Marcano being your lifesaver for 2 games back to back, I mean, you know you're kind of in trouble, and I feel like not having Sergio on the bench too hurts him a little bit as well. But I kind of like how Braga reinforced themselves a little bit as well. I think Braga has a pretty good solid squad to kind of compete. I think it's, to be honest, I hope it's not a 4-legged race. I hope Benfica
I don't think it will be long term.
I think Benfica pulls away eventually, but Sporting, to me, this is like, I hate to say it because this might come back and bite me in the ass, but I think Porto is the 4th best team. I think Braga leapfrogged them, in my opinion, and I think Sporting's in that second spot. So I think that the league is going to be a little more competitive this year overall. And I kind of, like I said, I like how Braga reinforced their team. I like how Sporting has developed their team and bringing up some kids as well. In Porto, I just feel like I do like some of their signings with Ivan Jamie or whatever that guy. I like
Jaime. Yeah, he's good.
I thought he was really good last season. I think losing João Moutinho to like that little, I don't even know how that happened, but I wasn't really paying too much attention. But I heard he was signed with Porto, then he ends up in Braga.
He did his medical, and then Sergio didn't want him.
I think he would have helped Porto, in my opinion. But I feel like one's trash is another man's treasure, right? And I think Braga found a pretty good player to help their midfield. So,
but does he start in Braga? Braga is a pretty solid midfield.
And to be honest, maybe you don't need to start João Moutinho, but a guy that comes off the bench and gives you those last 30 minutes and controls the game when you have a lead.
Yeah, against Panathinaikos, he came on in the second game as a.
I think that's the type of player he has. He is now, kind of like Pizzi. He comes off I would let Pizzi come off the bench and play like the last 20 minutes. So when you have control of the game,
you're already talking nonsense.
Hey, if he starts, he gets subbed out first. So it is what.
That's fine. That's what should happen. Like with these guys that are older in age, they have talent, but not for last than 90 minutes. They should be like a 65-minute. People, like that's what I mean. Like Di Maria, I agree. Di Maria is probably the best player we have in Portugal, right? Hands down. But if we don't start taking them out in a little earlier, we're gonna burn them by November, and then we're gonna be like Chase saying, "Oh, can Di Maria recover in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?" You need to save his legs. We need him for the Champions League. We need him deep in the season. Now let's go. And I agree with Vespa. I think Porto is. Like exactly how he says it. It's the least favorite, but the most favored. Because I'll tell you, Porto is going to probably end up in the first 2 spots in the league, right? And not because they have talent. It's because of all the BS that's been happening off the field, and in how these things just happen in Porto, like the VAR situation, the 90 score play until Porto score situation. That's going to happen throughout the season. I hope it changes. Because it's not a good product. It's not good luck for Portugal.
And we're gonna bypass the Champions League predictions just for the sake of time. We can do them next week's pod before the Champions League starts.
I just want to say I got a lot of "Stop Talking Jay" comments, and I need to get my head checked comments today. I'm really not liking this hate train.
Hate train, dude.
Don't talk about Pizzi. Don't talk about Freddy.
This hate. I really don't like this hate today.
Jay Kenny had the Canadians after him. Jay's got Kevin after him. I don't know what's going on.
Bring on the hate. Fuck them.
Hate train's coming strong here.
I got an opinion. What can I say?
Porto has the refs behind them. The games don't end until they're winning. And just to finalize here, before we jump off, Rui says we love you, Jay.
Thanks, Rui.
Two-gown circus, right? And the title of the podcast, 3 points in the circus. And I wanted to just jump off on this is, I feel like we've talked about this before, and I feel like as it snowballs every new season, it just progressively gets worse and worse and worse. And I feel like these first 4 match days have just taken on a completely different level of what we've seen over time. Sheikh Marcin says Porto always comes back from the dead. Legit. Just when you think you've got them dead and dusted and they've bled out, they all of a sudden pull an Undertaker and come out of the coffin and they're ready to go again. Rui says, sorry, guys, got to go to bed. It's calling me. Thanks, Rui, for tuning in. And don't
Rui.
forget to check out the last few minutes tomorrow. But just quickly, what we've seen in the first 4 jornadas, right? We've got VAR. We had the Paulinho goal against Casapia, which the Federation or the Associação de Árbitros came out like right after the game and said they fucked up. They drew the lines wrong. They drew it on his shoulder instead of his foot or something like that, right? And then there was just a huge hoopla about that. You had the situation in Porto Rio Ave. You had Porto Farense at home where they win in stoppage time. You had Porto against Aroca this weekend with the VAR. Wasn't plugged in. It was running on a UPS battery. The UPS battery ran out. The referee went to go look at the play. He didn't have one. He has to pick up a cell phone, an old Nokia. He's got to call, figure out.
I thought he was talking the cell phone upside down for some. I thought he was.
It's just an absolute shit show, right? And when you factor all this in, right, there were a number of TV broadcasting companies that dropped the Portuguese league over the summer. There's no Portuguese league in the UK legally. There's no Portuguese league in Brazil. And there was one more country. I can't remember what it was. France. France was the other one that dropped. The RMC dropped them, right? So like Pedro Proença and everyone keeps talking about, vender o produto lá fora, centralização dos direitos televisivos and being able to take that money and spread it out among. Right? But like, if no one's fucking buying the TV rights, there's no centralização, right? Like, there's no benefit. As it is, Benfica was going to lose, right? And we talked about this where, unfortunately, Benfica needs to lose a little bit to be able to somewhat level out the competition. But in this case, Benfica is really going to lose because from a marketing perspective, they are by far the biggest market player in the league. And then you got no one that's buying the TV rights. So it's like, what the fuck is going on? So, just quickly, Jay, I'll start with you. Like, we've all witnessed this over years and everyone's contributed to some way, shape, or form. I believe that every club, at least the ones that are fighting for the title in some way, shape, or form, have their corruption, have their phone calls, have their discussions that in some way, shape, or form may impact some more than others, unfortunately, that we've known of. But like, how do you look at this in what we've experienced and to think about the prize for this championship this year is that the ante is just upped because you get 80 million or so to get into the Champions League if you win the title. And as commentators in Portugal have said, if Benfica is the champion this year, financially, they will create an unmatchable gap between them and everyone else. And as it is, Benfica is financially healthy in comparison to our competitors. If we win the league, it's going to create a massive gap, like almost PSG to everyone else gap in the context of the Portuguese league. But how do you see all this chaos in the Portuguese league and like how embarrassing it is? You're muted, dude. Let me unmute you. Okay, go.
For starters, I really don't enjoy the 10 minutes of extra time and 12 minutes of extra time. And I guess our league, I mean, it's just like, it's the same shit every other day, like every other game. A player goes down, a lower team goes down, and then we're playing, they're stopped for 3 or 4 minutes. They do this throughout the whole second half. The game slows down. They're obviously playing for the point or the tie or trying to get a late goal in. It's not attractive soccer, I would say. I don't like the extra, like, I don't like that whole falling down. Like, they need to resolve this somehow. Playing the extra minutes, I guess you're kind of giving the time back, but it just causes so much like drama. Like, it's just, I don't know. I just don't like it. I could see 5-6 minutes being like the most, but when you're adding all these stoppages to the game, it just makes it an unattractive product on the field.
I think in this season so far, I think I saw it today, including first halves and second halves, in the terms of how much minutes were played, not just how many were given. Porto's had like 78 minutes extra, and Benfica's had like 60, and Sporting was like 52 or something like that. But like,
yeah, it's just it's
78 minutes over 4 jornadas is a lot.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. I guess the federation needs to send a memo to like the song, like just play the game. Like I get what they're doing. Everyone knows what they're doing. They're trying to waste time, and we're just adding more time at the end. But it's a joke. It doesn't. People aren't going to tune in. That's why we're losing all these sponsors or all these like the marketing for the TV rights. And you're right. And like these countries dropping the Portuguese league is not good for us. It's not good for the teams. It's not good for Benfica. It's not good for anyone. I would like for someone to kind of try to fix that. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I would like and someone wrote on the thing, like maybe have Figu. Maybe Figu is that answer. Maybe he'll bring some new ideas or something. Like I don't know. I really don't. I can't tell you the answer. I just know that if you watch an EPL game, it's not like that. If you watch even a German league game, it's not like that at all. It's pathetic.
Different culture.
It's a joke. And like,
I mean, for anyone that watched, and again, like I don't want to get into the club A or B or C, but like the situation happened at the Porto game. Like I watched the game, and the thing that was astonishing to me was like from the 80th minute on, or from when Aroca scored to the end of that game, every ball that was played into the box, it was like a diving competition. Like if you go watch the highlights, it literally like ball crossed, 3 guys fall. Get up, ball gets crossed back in, 3 guys fall. It's just like, what the fuck is happening right now? And it's just incredibly frustrating. It's so frustrating.
And one thing to add about the VAR, which is mind-boggling to me, because like I just don't understand. Like they need to put these refs on a mic, have the conversation.
So that's what we released. So tomorrow will be the first time that they release the VAR audio from the Portuguese League for the games that occurred in August, and that'll be released on a program on Sport TV, which again confuses the shit out of me because the federation has their own channel, Canal 11, but they're releasing this tomorrow at like 17 o'clock or something like that.
But like, why not have it live? Like,
I agree. There's leagues that do it live.
Like the discussion of the 2 refs going over, like, hey, what are you seeing?
We know why it's not available live.
No shit, but like,
else knows.
But it's stupid. It just ruins the game for me. Like that whole debacle with the VAR not working in Porto. I think someone wrote a comment like, I think they need to invest in some solar panels.
Yeah. That wasn't by mistake, I don't believe. But then like adding to the chaos is the league blames Porto because that the electricity outlet in the whole stadium, that's the only electricity outlet that wasn't working. Then the electricity company, who's a sponsor, or the company that's responsible for the VAR system, which is a sponsor of Porto, Altice, comes out and says, no, Porto said, no, it wasn't us. It was Altice. Altice comes out and says, no, Porto, you're full of shit. It wasn't us. Right? So it's like the league's pointing the finger at Porto. Porto's pointing the finger at Altice. Altice pointing the finger back at Porto. Porto today just released they are asking for the game to be replayed, and they basically listed like 84 bullet points as to why they think the game should be replayed. Like,
that's ridiculous.
It's an absolute shit show. Oscar, what do you think? But before, I just want to. This made me laugh. Esper Luizio says, yes, Porto's in the 5th jornada already, and everyone else is still in the 4th. I mean, in terms of minutes played, they basically are.
Let me just say one thing. When you said 78 minutes for Porto and 60 something for Benfica,
yeah, it was around there. Benfica was like 15 less or something.
But remember, Benfica got those extra minutes when going into the 90th minute winning. Porto got those extra minutes going. They were
always losing.
90th minute
or
losing.
Tied. Yeah.
So Benfica, somebody could say they gave them extra minutes in order for them to lose points. In Porto, they gave them extra minutes in order for them to win points. Right? That could be said. It's obviously an opinion, but this is what my 2 cents when it comes to the Portuguese league. If they want to promote this product, to me, obviously the soap operas, the dive in, the bullshit that happens during the game it needs to stop. And the way to stop is by harsh punishments, right? You need to Taremi the dives into the box to fake a PK. They need to come out and say it's a clear and obvious dive. Let's punish him. Like, it has to be a punishment. Maybe he misses a game. Believe me, once he starts missing games, he'll stop diving. He'll absolutely stop diving, asking for the PK. When it comes to the coaches making those soap operas on the sideline, it could be any coach. This Sergio Conceição has done it many times. Has to be a harsh punishment so they stop doing it over and over again. Another thing, refs. The refs, same thing. They mess up. They mess up, and it's an obvious mistake. Just like they see a goal that's been a handball, whatever it is and they call it off, and then they go see the VAR. That's an obvious mistake. It's not like, oh, we're human and we messed up. No, you see it on TV. It's an obvious mistake, and if they get it wrong, punish them. In the way you punish them, bring them, have them skip a few games and not ref those few games.
They do it in all the other leagues.
100%. But on Portugal, it feels like, hey, they mess up today.
They get awarded.
Next week they play. They ref a Porto versus Sporting. You know, and they just miss Benfica next week. They ref Porto versus Sporting. No, that has to be 100% punishment, and that's how people learn. Another thing, they want to fill the stadiums. I heard in the summer they were selling tickets for Benfica game against I don't know where it was, Boavista, and Boavista Estrela at 50 euros or 60 euros a pop. Like
clubs do that when Benfica comes to town because it's their moneymaker, which shouldn't be allowed.
It shouldn't be allowed. So if they want to fill the stadiums, if they want to have public in the stadiums, if they want the cameras to catch a full stadium, they can't absolutely do that. And the federation has to step in and be like, no, this is what what the tickets will cost, and call it a day, or else we're never gonna sell this product. And it's going to be shit forever. And I start to agree with some of the guys in our group that think MLS eventually will be better than the Portuguese league, if not already is. And I try to go totally against it, but I just don't see it not happening.
The thing that sucks is like the Portuguese league does have some talent, right? Like we have talented players in our league, it's just not on the top four. I mean, look at Porto's team. Porto rarely goes outside the league to pick up players. They usually pick the best players on the smaller club teams and brings them onto their team, and they do very, very well. It's just we need to figure this shit out. Like I don't know. I think we need a new system or new bodies in there, like something. Like it's just I hate these players sitting down. My fucking my legs hurt, like I'm hurt. I need to bring in the medical team just to sit there for them to roll my leg a little bit, waste 3 minutes, and then go. And you're like fucking from here, you're 3 feet away from the line. Like just get the fuck out of the line. Like get off the field. That's it. Like I don't know. Obviously, you don't want to have injured players, and you can't really, like as a referee, you really can't like be like, oh, is he really injured or is he faking it? Like you obviously can't say any of that.
But some of it's obvious.
It's one of those things that like it's just like the mentality that the way that the Portuguese teams play, it's ridiculous. It's not a good product at all. And to be honest, culture. I don't know who said it about the MLS eventually will take over and be a better product than the Portuguese league. At least the MLS is competitive. Like every team, like you could be really good this year, and the next year you could suck ass. Like
correct, because there's salary caps and stuff like that. But I think also the no relegation promotion, I think, impacts that a little bit. But
that part of the MLS, I think is stupid. Where they don't have regulation, they should make a second division and work things out that way. But like, as far as like competitiveness, I feel like it's a very competitive league, and it's very even played out.
Jay, I think I would agree with you until I saw Miami play against everybody else, and I see how those players let Messi just walk through, and then I'm like, I guarantee one of us could give him a harder time than those professional players are doing.
No, you couldn't. Stop. No, you couldn't. I saw you play in Lilla, and no, you couldn't. And that was against a semi-pro team.
I think the MLS is a better product in terms of like the game. There's a pregame hype to it. There's analysis. There's stuff like that. I think that in itself creates a much better product than the Portuguese league, right? The Portuguese league doesn't have a product. It doesn't have like that same excitement to the pregame and stuff like that. So I think that's the big difference. I think in terms of quality, I think the Portuguese league has better overall quality, but I think the product is better to sell to the outside than the Portuguese league, the MLSs. Kevin's on the hate train for Oscar now too. He said Oscar stop talking.
What did I say?
I think he meant when you said you could do better than some of the MLS players.
Oh, that was a sarcastic joke because
if you know Oscar, he always twisted his ankle, so he wouldn't be able to do much.
But those CBs are probably twisting their ankles too by just not doing anything.
Or they're just scared. Sheik Marcinus said, I think Benfica needs to look more at the Portuguese league when signing. Sporting got guys like Pote and Ugarte. Keep looking. We seem to ignore these types of players. Someone mentioned, that would be a question that should be asked of the Direção. I don't know if they ask and the asking price is higher than the other clubs because of who it is. I don't know. But I agree. I think we've all said it here. I know Jay has said it. Kenny said it. Oscar said it. There's some talent in-house that we could potentially explore, but it seems like we don't have as much interest in doing that.
Hey, Mike, I just want to say one thing. There's a comment here where, this one, MLS doesn't. If the MLS didn't have a salary cap and like a team like Inter Miami or the Galaxy, that Galaxy team that has money, if those teams were able just to buy anyone that they want, I guarantee you they would have a championship league caliber team. No doubt. I
mean, look at Inter Miami now. They got Jordi Alba, Messi, Busquets. I mean, they're finding ways around these loopholes with the foreign players and stuff like that. So, Kevin says, solid product, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to jump off, but quickly, final notes. Benfica female team won 8-1 against Cliftonville today in the Women's Champions League qualification. They play SFK Riga on Saturday at the Benfica campus in the semifinal. Benfica's handball team lost in the first jornada against Sporting at the Pavilion João Rocha today. Tony Silva nominated for best under-21 player in the world. The gala is in October, the end of October. He and 9 others are nominated: Jude Bellingham, Pablo Javi, Jamal Musiala from Bayern, Eduardo Camavinga, Pedri, Alejandro Balde from Barcelona, Xavi Simons, who's at Leipzig but was at PSV, Rasmus Højlund, who just went to Manchester United, and Elis Wahi from Lens.
I love Tony, but that's going to belong to Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, it's got that. I mean, those 10, he's got some good company with him, but I don't see him winning it. But who knows? We'll see. It's voted, I think, by the journalists in France, but that's at the end of October. Tomorrow we got the Portuguese podcast. Luis is going to be leading that with the boys on the other side of the pond. And then social media. Just don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button on this video on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, social media platforms. Again, we got the merch on our website. It's in the description of the video. You can drop us donations if you like our content and want to help us out. Rui Pinho says, great show. Viva Benfica. Sheik Marcelino, the fact that our players pay 53% taxes makes it hard to compete with other big leagues that tax much lower. Yeah, there's a lot of caveats. Gentlemen, as always, a pleasure. We will be back next week. Or maybe not next week because we got international break unless something comes up. So we'll be back after the Vizela game. It was a pleasure. Have a good evening. And Viva Sport Lisboa e Benfica. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Viva!